Harris-Hall. Welcome to the Tuesday, April 11th regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Good morning, Mr. Mokraski.
Good morning.
All right, move directly into today's agenda. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
No.
To the board? I'm seeing none. Any emergency business today?
No.
Then we'll go directly into public comments. The public's invited to testify before the Board of County Commissioners. You'll have 3 minutes to testify. If you're at the podium in Harris-Hall, keep an eye on the clock. You'll receive a notice at 30 seconds and keep an eye on the clock for your time limit. At 3 minutes, the mic will be silenced. For the people who are testifying online, you'll hear an audio 30-second warning before the conclusion of your testimony. Today in Harris-Hall, we have, let's see, nobody signed up. Ms. Jones, anyone sign up online for testimony today?
Thank you, Chair Farr. At this time, we have no one signed up online for public testimony either.
This concludes public testimony then, and we'll move along to item 4, which is Commissioner's response to public comments and/or other issues and remonstrances. I'll look to the board. Commissioner Lovell.
Thank you, Chair. Got some information today that's kind of exciting about where we're going on an indoor facility that we're planning that we've been talking about. A couple of stats I want to share with you. The podium, which is the Spokane location, was overrun with track meets. 14 weekends in a row were booked just last week, with additional requests had to be turned away. They're actually urging us now to build ASAP, which I thought was an interesting little comment. Sport Oregon at Governor's Conference on Tourism, the CEO Jim Etzel said Spokane told him that they cannot handle all the new business demands. Metro in Portland is moving ahead on plans for their expo, including an indoor track, but will likely take a few years to secure all the funding. They're hoping Lane County will move forward on an indoor facility sooner. And Medford's tournament facility will be open in December. So as you can see, it's kind of that you will build it, they will come, but they're demanding reservations before we build it. So I think it's a great time for us to rethink and to put that maybe on the front burner. Travel Lane County has adopted a 3-year strategic plan that is aligned with the county's current strategic priorities of safe, healthy county, robust infrastructure, and vibrant communities. And within Lane County's plan are initiatives around facility development to grow our winter economy while providing healthy activity and emergency health space, expanding support for rural tourism development, and growing support for cultural arts and events, among other things, which aligns perfectly with that indoor facility we're talking. Travel Lane County has 3 beautiful billboards, electronic billboards that are firing up and running in the San Francisco Bay Area, which are attracting a good deal of interest to this area. And Travel Lane County has just received the Governor's Tourism Award from Governor Kotek for its work on hosting the World Athletics Championships last year. So for me, I'm blowing the horn here loud that Lane County is the right place, the right time, and the right people to do this right kind of development. So I would encourage us as a board to put that on our front burner going forward. Thanks, Chair.
Right on. Good news. Thank you. Look further down the board. No further issues or remonstrances. Vice Chair Trieger, go ahead.
Sorry, Chair. Thank you. I just want to give a appreciation to community members over the weekend.
I got to voice something.
Sorry, Diana, did you need to chime in on something?
Sorry.
Okay. Thanks.
I did not.
Okay, thank you. Just appreciating community members who got in touch over the weekend with me and Heather Buck and Commissioner Buck, and we worked together, noticing that there was another act of anti-Semitic aggression with the public flying of a Nazi swastika flag. And so appreciate community members calling that to our attention, and to the Sheriff's Office for their quick response to ensure that that was removed, as it was on a right-of-way. And so just thank you, folks. Keep your eyes out. When you see something, say something, and we will do what we can to help keep our community and everyone here safe. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that information. That's sobering. With that, Commissioner Lovell, you mentioned travel to Lane County from abroad and throughout the western states and throughout all of America, for that matter. My sister is the North American sales manager for Travel Oregon. Formerly was the European sales manager for Travel Oregon. And what she always had to say is that Lane County was and the Columbia Gorge were the 2 greatest destinations for European travel from Europe. People wanted to come to Lane County, and because we're the center of so many activities right here. Yeah. So we'll look forward to seeing more of that. And I'm glad to see that you're enjoying your new appointment to the Travel Lane County Board of
Good
Directors.
group of folks, that's for sure.
A great group of folks. I
Very
was
exciting.
there for 10 years. Very well. Any further remonstrances? I'm seeing none. Then we'll move down to our consent calendar. We have before us a consent calendar. All the items have been considered by the Board of County Commissioners. If you wish to see the details of what we have considered, click on View Material under the consent calendar. The consent calendar will be enacted by a single motion. Do I have a motion? Vice Chair Trieger.
Chair, I'll move passage of the consent calendar for Tuesday, April 11, 2023.
I'll second.
Moved by Vice Chair Trieger and seconded by Commissioner Lovell, our consent calendar. Any discussion to the motion? I'm seeing none. Call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Then we'll move along to item 6A, Mr. Mokrowski, which is Order 23041106, in the matter of approving the tentative agreement between Lane County and the Administrative Professional Association of Lane County Incorporated.
It's a time certain.
That's a 10 o'clock time certain. Thank you for that. We're well ahead of that. So are we ready for, I don't see County Council with us. We'll move that down the agenda. To item 8, Mr. Mokrowski, we have Order 23041107 in the matter of recommending a Lane County Commissioner to the Board of Directors of the Association of Oregon Counties for the position reserved for member counties with populations of 250,000 or more. I don't see Steve Adams.
I'm just checking to see if Steve is available to to come. You've moved so quickly and efficiently, excuse me, this morning.
I heard him talking for about 15 minutes this morning, but
Sorry.
I heard him this morning, but
Yes.
he was here.
So I'm happy to do announcements if you would like.
Sure, let's go on to item 8B.
Okay, I have two here. First is a WasteWise Lane County Food Waste Prevention Week that has launched. WasteWise Lane County is part of the Waste Management Division, is partnering with organizations and governments nationwide during Food Waste Prevention Week. That's April 10th to 16th this week. The week-long effort seeks to raise awareness to reduce food waste at home, work, and in communities. The campaign will focus on social media activities and outreach events at area grocery stores. The week will end with a public celebration featuring organizations leading wasted food prevention efforts locally, appearance from elected officials, music, games, food, and beverages on April 16th at Thinking Tree Spirits from 12 to 4 p.m. Partial proceeds from the event will be donated to Burrito Brigade. So a few food waste facts. A family of 4 can save an average of nearly $2,000 annually by eating all the food they buy. $2,000 per family can be saved if you eat all the food you buy, as opposed to throwing it out. In the U.S., 1 in 5 people lacks consistent access to nutritious food, while up to 3 million tons of wasted food goes to landfills annually. Reducing food waste is the #1 personal action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. A short story I'll share is that a couple years ago we had it's been several years I think now, a budget committee meeting, and Dan Hurley, our public works director, was presenting, and he was asked about greenhouse gases and emissions from the landfill. And he said, and about plastics. This is when the plastics recycling market overseas in Asia had declined, and so we were finding ourselves with the inability to recycle plastics. And he made the comment, he said, it's really hard to think about, you throw these big plastic things away and it doesn't feel good. But he said, actually, the bigger problem when it comes to greenhouse gases that get emitted into the air is the food waste. So we think a lot about, and we're concerned a lot about wasting plastic, and yes, that's a problem, but actually the bigger problem is food waste. So I ran, after the budget committee meeting, that weekend I ran and got a composter. You can get these very easily and very inexpensively. Composters at Bring is one of the places. Bring Recycling sells composters, I think, for $25 or $30. Put it in my backyard, and now we take all of the food waste from our house that would otherwise go into the landfill, and we put it in that compost, and then, of course, it turns into dirt after a while, and you can use it for your planting. So just a A good example there, we actually understand the impact that food waste can have and the simple things that we can do to correct that. It's actually really empowering. So again, I'll say reducing food waste is the #1 personal action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Tackling wasted food is integrated into Lane County's Climate Action Plan and Solid Waste Management Plan. The U.S. is working to cut food waste to landfills by 50% by 2030. Lane County is exploring construction of a material recovery facility that will sort food waste to support this goal. So to follow the campaign on WasteWise Lane County's Facebook, to follow the campaign, you can go to WasteWise Lane County's Facebook and Instagram pages. And again, there's an event that will be happening at Thinking Tree Spirits on April 16th from 12 to 4. And again, find all this information on our Facebook and Instagram pages. So just a reminder that this week is Food Waste Prevention Week. And then I have an update on elections, and Mr. Adams is here, and we can do item 8A after that if you would like, Chair. So today is E-35, so 35 days and counting to the May election. We're going to focus on preparation for the public logic and accuracy test. Last time we shared with you the sort of mapping of the elections process that you can find on our website just to better understand what that process looks like and how we handle both from the printing of ballots to the distribution of ballots to the collection of ballots and the counting of votes. So state law requires the voting system to be tested prior to and after every election. To meet this requirement, public logic and accuracy tests are performed on the voting system twice before the election and once prior to certification. So twice before the election, once after the election, but before the election is certified. So 3 times in total that we test the system to ensure its accuracy. In preparation for the test, last week, election workers hand-marked 1,606 test ballots. Election workers followed a predetermined marking pattern to ensure that the votes for every candidate in every race and every measure were marked. The total votes for each contest from these hand-marked ballots are tallied and are the known expected results that are compared to the results from the voting system. The same set of test ballots will be used for each public logic and accuracy test. The logic and accuracy tests are a documented assessment of the voting system's ability to consistently produce accurate results of the voting choices. These tests, in addition to the statutory hand count audit after the election, prove that the voting system tallied ballots are marked, that they're tallying ballots as marked by voters. The first of 3 public logic and accuracy tests will take place on May 4th, 2023. It will begin at 10 a.m. And that will be live streamed on our website. So you can go to our Lane County or.gov/elections, and you can find the link to actually live stream that first logic and accuracy test. Anyone that's interested in observing, or anyone who has questions about the public logic and accuracy tests should contact the clerk's office for more information. So also the voter's pamphlet will be in the mail the week of April 24th. So we've got a couple weeks for the voter's pamphlet to hit the mail. Voters with non-Oregon mailing addresses will be mailed ballots on April 17th. The deadline to register to vote is April 25th. So there's still about 2 weeks to register to vote. Ballots to local voters will be mailed April 27th, and then the live streaming will begin on April 27th. So a couple lengthy updates on Food Waste Prevention Week and then our elections update. That's all I have.
Wonderful updates. Before we move back to county council announcements, responses to Mr. Mokryski, Vice Chair Trieger.
Thank you. One thing our incredible new clerk didn't brag on herself about is not only are we going to have voter pamphlets in the mail, but it is already posted online. There is an online version of it, and it looks phenomenal. So thank you to her and to you, Administrator Mokrzycki and to the prior board for ensuring that we now do that important piece of voter education and produce a voter pamphlet in the off-year cycles. I have gotten so much positive feedback from the community about how much they appreciate it. Voters, candidates, folks working on measures, and others, that it's just such an important piece that we haven't done historically and consistently. So that is a huge improvement. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any further comments to Ms. Mokrzycki? I have a couple real quickly. You know, it is election season, and last night I spent time at River Road neighborhood, and the 4J board candidates were all there, as well as the city council candidates for that area. And it's really good to see that kind of interaction. If you are a member of a neighborhood group, as we get closer to the election, your neighborhood group will probably have forums such as that. And I'd encourage people to go to that if you live inside the cities of Eugene or Springfield or in the rural communities. Ranges and neighborhood groups do have public forums. So that's pretty exciting. And on the food waste, Ms. Mokrzycki, one thing you didn't mention that wasn't in that article is something we talk about all the time at MWMC, Metropolitan Wastewater Management, is the food waste that's sent down the garbage disposer. You know, your banana peels, your potato peels, all of that stuff that could go into the composter very easily. Now, ultimately, when it goes down the disposer, if you live in the MWMC collection zone, some of it goes to biosolids, but it's a fairly lengthy process that gets it there, and it's not 100% that goes to biosolids. But you know, before you put it down the disposer, if you have a composter, and if you have a nice contained composter, not just an open compost pile, which some people do have, and it does work, but that can be a little bit of a hazard to the people surrounding you because of flies and because there are rats everywhere that love compost heaps. So the, you know, contained composter, you can get them at local hardware stores, for instance, or bring those, the compost tumblers are really effective. So thanks for that information. And you can look at, if you go to Wastewater Partners, you can find out all about what happens to your banana peels if you send them down the disposer. So thank you. Let's step back to item 7, which is County Council announcements. And Ms. Pettigrew, would you join us? And good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Just brief announcements today. We just want to start by thanking our team at Technology Services. Our office has been working toward a new public records system to manage, document, and process requests, as well as a new case management system. And the Technology Services team has taken this on with a lot of robust energy and enthusiasm and has been doing a lot of great work. So I just want to thank that team on behalf of the Office of Legal Counsel for their excellent work, and I hope to have updates for you soon as to the execution of those contracts and some demos for you all to see as well. And secondly, I'd like to thank our team at HR and their collaboration with our office for some of our work on our labor contracts, which you'll hear about shortly. I just commend them for their excellent work and professionalism, and yeah, just hope you can share that as well. And last but not least, we will be discussing the matter of opioid settlements in executive session this morning, and then we'll come out into public session for hopefully board decisions on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pettigrew. Any questions or comments for Ms. Pettigrew? Vice Chair Trieger.
Thank you. I just have a timing question. Just been communicating with Diana. Our exec session is likely relatively brief.
Yes.
And are there others involved, or are you available? Just thinking about timing, if we wanted to try to fit that in before the 10 a.m. time certain, or if we have other business we can fill the time with, we might be able to do that. Is that right? So I'm not sure how you want to, just as information and thinking about.
First I've thought about it.
Yeah,
Vice Chair Trieger.
same. Just got the message as we were talking, so.
I didn't get the message.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair. I am absolutely available whenever you're ready to talk about that issue.
Okay. Anything for Ms. Pettigrew? I'd like to thank you for, I understand we have 2 new attorneys in the office, and at some point in the near future, we'll have a chance to meet them in a meeting. I think they're very busy already. So,
They are indeed, Chair, yes. Yes, we have had many opportunities to send work their way in their first week of work, but yes, I'm excited to bring them to our next meeting so that you can meet them in person here.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Pettigrew.
Thank you.
All right, then we'll move back down the agenda to item by you, Ms. Mokrzycki.
Okay, I think we're ready now for 8A, if you want to take that one up.
Item 8A is Order 2304-1107 in the matter of recommending a Lane County Commissioner to the Board of Directors of the Association of Oregon Counties for the position reserved for member counties with populations of 250,000 or more. Mr. Mokrzycki.
Thank you, Chair. And Steve Adams, our Policy Director, is here to walk you through this item.
Chair Farr, Commissioners, good morning. I logged in at my desk at 9 a.m. thinking I had ample time before I made my way to Harris Hall, but you all run a tight ship. So my apologies for not being here when this item first came up just a few moments ago. Before you this morning is a consideration of a board order related to Wayne County's representation on the Association of Oregon Counties. So the association represents the interests of county government statewide. All 36 counties are members of AOC and have a range of kind of government affairs activities before the administration in Salem as well as before the legislature. We're active partners with AOC on a wide range of issues. For the Board of Directors, there are various categories specifically, but there are a group of seats that are two-year seats, unlike one-year seats for smaller counties, but two-year seats for counties with a population of 250,000 or greater. So currently that includes Clackamas County, Wayne County, Marion, Multnomah County, and Washington County. So in January of 2002, the board appointed Commissioner Joe Burney to represent Wayne County in the capacity of a seat greater than 250,000.
Did you say 2002?
Sorry, 2022. I neglected to put a 2 in there, Chair Farr. 2022. And so that was a 2-year term. And of course, the commissioner is no longer on this board. So the question now presents itself, and we did not bring this forward at the time of the original appointments, as the board traditionally does right at the beginning of a new term, as there was some question that we had going back to AOC. The question was, our previous representative was appointed to a 2-year term. Are we asking our board to continue to essentially fill the second year of a 2-year term, or is this the commencement of a new 2-year term? So we had the question back to AOC, and of course, legislative session began, and we got a little bit focused on that activity. But the resolution to the question has come back to us. It is, according to the bylaws, it's a 2-year term that commences at the point of at the beginning of one's appointment. So it's not necessarily filling a 1-year term, it's a 2-year term. However, this board could make that determination if they so chose. So we, at the staff level, are just bringing this issue back to the board with a request that this board provides a nomination for representation. We would very much like to have one of you on the AOC Board of Directors representing our interests. I would note that even though we don't have a current commissioner on the Board of Directors, there is a tremendous amount of influence felt in Salem by virtue of this board. Chair Farr, you are a member of the Local Government Advisory Committee and deeply engaged. You're representing us on Measure 110 issues. Each of you are likewise engaged in the legislative process on key issues and representing us ably. So I want anyone watching out in the community right now to rest assured that Wayne County is well represented in Salem by virtue of the 5 of you and your various activities. But before you, Chair Farr, is a draft board order that would direct staff to forward a name from this commission to AOC for appointment as a member of the board for a 2-year term.
Thank you. Then I'll open it for discussion. We do have the order before us. Vice Chair Trieger.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation and moving this forward. I would like to nominate Commissioner Buck for a 2-year term, if she wants to accept the nomination, given her tenure on this board, the leadership she's demonstrated, and her representing a rural community, rural communities, as well as some metro area folks. I think she would bring a really important voice to the AOC board.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second. I appreciate that nomination. I have been working on the various committees within AOC for some time. I'm currently on the legislative committee. That's really the only other one at the moment. I'd be happy to carry forward, and then I hope in future years, as new commissioners get more used to AOC and the policy and the different committees, that eventually we can continue to swap those positions amongst the rest of us.
Okay, moved by Vice Chair Trigger and seconded by Commissioner Buck. I'm going to entertain discussion to the motion. Commissioner Lovell.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm just kind of curious if there's some other discussion we can have about the matter, because it was brought up, I guess, rather suddenly in a public forum. Is there a way that we could put this in a work session to where we could kind of discuss this further and then bring it back to the public?
That is a possibility. Further discussion? You know, when was Commissioner Burney appointed?
Let's see, Commissioner Burney, Chair Farr, was appointed on the 7th of January, 2022.
So he did that for 1 year then?
That is correct.
And who was prior to that?
I do not have that information in front of me.
Okay. Okay. Well, Commissioner Lovell, you suggest that we have a broader discussion on this. I'm in favor of a broader discussion because I've never been on the board of directors of AOC. I have chaired committees and been on this board of commissioners. I'm in my 11th year right now. I've never been on the board of directors. I don't know exactly what they do. So tell us what they do.
Well, I think, Chair Farr, the Board of Directors plays a broad role. Much of the work, as you know, is done through committee that's very focused on particular aspects, but the Board of Directors is the governance board for the larger organization itself. Currently, the president is Derek DeGroot, commissioner from Klamath County. The first vice president is Danielle Bethel from Marion County. Second vice president is John Schaefer from Umatilla County. And the treasurer, James Williams from Wake County. There's several district seats that are on the board, districts 1 through 8. Past presidents sit on the board. NACO representatives, so the National Association of Counties, we have two, Martha Schrader from Clackamas County and Derek DeGroot from Klamath County. And then we have the counties with a population of 250 or more. Those are 5 seats. And then members at large, which is another 6 seats. And then, of course, there are the AOC affiliate organizations. So these are the organizations that represent various of our staff. So there is, of course, the Assessors Organization, the County Clerks Association, the County Administrators Association, the Engineers and Surveyors Association, the Justices of the Peace.
That's good, thanks. So what kind of action do they take? Can you describe some of the action that the Board of Directors takes?
Well, I believe matters that come before the board ultimately, of course, jurisdiction over the staff of AOC, jurisdiction over the budget and what the dues are. So some of the basic governance functions associated with managing the association. Board members weigh in specifically on policy directions that the counties, the association as a whole is going to take. There are implications, of course, for the legislative agenda in terms of how counties are represented or really kind of positions that they're taking in the legislative process. Though obviously many of the individual committees themselves are much more focused on the more granular issues of public policy.
So during the term that Commissioner Burney was there, did he I don't recall him ever reporting back on action at the Board of Directors of AOC to the board, general board. So the representative from Lane County then acts independently? Is that, I mean, I've never heard a discussion at this level regarding what is happening at the board and the decisions being made at the Board of AOC.
Chair Farr, I could not answer to.
Yeah, I think we need to talk more about it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've been throwing you some softballs. I know about the Board of Directors of AOC. I've been around for a long, long time, and I do know they do make decisions. that discussions do occur and decisions are made by that board of directors that affect more than just a small segment of Oregon. I mean, there's 36 counties that it affects. So I think it's something that does warrant a discussion. If we're going to be involved with AOC, then I think the entire board needs to be a part of that. So I think, I don't know, I'm with Commissioner Lovell. I'd like to have a bit more of a work session on discussion of this topic before we move forward with it. So with that, we do have a motion on the table. Discussion to the motion?
Well, I just think it's important, I just want to point out for the record, Commissioner Lovell mentioned this is coming forward suddenly in a public forum. It was in our board packet, which was published last Wednesday with the materials linked on Thursday. So I just want to, for a point of process and for staff, this wasn't something that was brought to us suddenly. And I also want to note that we are going unrepresented in a really important association, which has a seat for us, and we've been unrepresented there for the better part of half a year now. And I nominated Commissioner Buck again because of her proven leadership skills, because second to our current chair, she is the second longest tenured member of this board. And I would hope that all of my colleagues would agree that she would do an excellent and fair job representing the needs of Lane County in consideration of statewide needs. She's developed excellent relationships with commissioners from across the state during her several years on this board. And so I stand by my nomination, and I'm not really clear what kind of public conversation we could be having that we don't have time to have today to make this decision today.
Well, for instance, I may be interested in that position. You know, I've been on this board for 11 years. I've never been on the board of directors, and if it is that influential, as you suggest, then maybe it's something that I would want to consider personally. So we're acting on a motion that's kind of, it was posted last Wednesday, and I'm in favor of Commissioner Buck. In fact, I think 2 weeks ago I probably actually mentioned that. But really, if it is that influential, as you state, Mr. Adams, and as you concur, then perhaps the entire board needs more of a discussion as to who represents Lane County on that board. So with that, we can either table this motion, or I can call for a vote. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
No? Fails? 3-2. Then we'll move forward, Mr. Mokrasi. That'll come as a discussion for the board as to how we do fill that position. Very well. Anything else, Mr. Adams?
No, Chair Farr, thank you. Thanks.
Then we're still a little ways away from our 10 o'clock time certain, Mr. Mokrasi. I think at this point in time, we could, with nothing else on the agenda this morning, we can take a recess.
Question, Chair, is if you'd like to do the opioid settlement executive session, if you feel you have the time to do that, or if you want to just recess until.
We have 25 minutes, and I've still received no input on this. So you're the only person that's heard about it. Commissioner Trieger, tell us about it.
Well, that's why I asked County Council if she thought we had time to do that before 10. I just heard that it was likely relatively brief, 20 minutes or less. So we do have technically the time. You know everything I know.
Other than I just found out it might be relatively brief. So we do have about 25 minutes, so we could summon an executive session. Ms. Mokrasi?
It's really your choice, Chair. If you'd like to do that, or if you'd like to recess.
Let's make good use of time then, and let's move into executive session. The Board of County Commissioners will meet in executive session to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. The executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6602H to consult with counsel regarding the rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. We reserve the right to come back out into public session should the need arise. And when at the sound of my gavel, we'll recess the Board of County Commissioners and reconvene an executive session at 20 minutes till 10 in the BCC conference room. Then we'll return at 10 a.m. for our 10 a.m. time certain. back to our regular Board of Commissioners meeting. And we'll move directly into, you'd think I'd be prepared if I had this much time in between. Item number 6A, which is Order 23041106, in the matter of approving the tentative agreement between Lane County and the Administrative Professionals Association of Lane County. And Ms. Nagels, I think I'm going to look to you to introduce the panel, please.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I am pleased to introduce Ms. Inga Wood. She's the Labor Relations Manager for Lane County, and she served as the Chief Spokesperson for the contract negotiations with the Administrative Professionals Association.
Good morning, Ms. Wood.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I'm happy to present to you today the tentative agreement between Lane County and the Administrative Professional Association of Lane County, Inc., also known as Admin Pro. The current collective bargaining agreement between Lane County and the Admin Pro expired on June 30th of 2022. The bargaining teams participated in collective bargaining through that process have reached a tentative agreement for a successor contract. The teams worked in a collaborative manner to concentrate on recruitment and retention as it relates to market competitiveness while keeping focused on overall budget constraints and maintaining a commitment to the county's strategic plan. The board is being asked to approve the proposed 3-year successor agreement ending June 30th, 2025, which is included in your packet. A brief summary of the proposed changes are also included in the packet, so I will not go into great detail, but would like to highlight a few changes. The agreement includes, as of July 2022, market adjustments for 12 classifications in this group, placing employees on the new scales to the closest step without a decrease. The tentative agreement provides for a 2% cost of living adjustment for year 1 of the agreement, which is fiscal year 2022 to 2023. A 2% cost of living adjustment for year 2 of the agreement, fiscal year 23 to 24, and a 2% cost of living adjustment for the 3rd year of the agreement, fiscal year 24 to 25. All represented employees will receive a one-time payment of $1,000 for 2022, $500 in 2023, and $500 in 2024. All of the represented employees who did not receive a market adjustment for 2022 will receive an additional one-time payment of $1,000. We modified personal gear funding from an allowance to a reimbursement and increased to allow for up to $400 annually. We also increased the boot allowance for excessive wear to $75 annually and broadened the scope of eligible employees. We modified process, eligibility, and payment for persons who are required to be on call in order to bring the entire unit under one process that is easy to understand and track. Health insurance plans and employee monthly contributions remain unchanged. We made numerous other changes to clarify contract language. The total estimated cost for proposed contract changes is $2,269,352 over the 3-year contract period. The employees in this bargaining unit provide services within the Public Works and the Technology Services Department in the areas of engineering, roads, solid waste, event center, facilities, parks, fleet services, and GIS. I want to thank the bargaining team members for both the county and Admin Pro team. Specifically, we were hoping that Admin Pro President Derek Jensen would be with us today, but my understanding is he started a new construction project yesterday, so unfortunately he wasn't able to join us. So President Derek Jensen, Vice President Mitch Stingu, and Director Jeff Smith. From the county's bargaining team, Public Works Assistant Director Lance Inglet, County Surveyor Jay Blume, Senior Labor Relations Analyst Kristen Mayfair, Labor Relations Program Specialist Carrie Crabtree, Assistant County Counsel Andrea Nagels, and Budget Manager Christine Moody. Would also like to thank Chanel Moody from Public Works, who actually filled in as our official record keeper when the program specialist position was vacant as well. The ratification of this contract is in alignment with the county's strategic priority, our people and organizational health, invest in our employees who are the backbone of our organization, and invest in our systems and organizational health so that employees can thrive and residents can experience a more effective government. Admin Pro bargaining unit members have voted to ratify the tentative agreement. and the county's bargaining team recommends approval of the agreement and authorization to county staff to implement the proposed tentative agreement. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. I'll look to the board for questions. Well done. You answered every question before we asked it, at which point I will see if we have a motion ready. While we're waiting for the motion, I'll not a question, but well done. You went down a litany of names of those who worked directly on this, but I know the litany goes beyond the names that you read. This took the entire organization to make it happen, so well done. We've been kind of, had an eye on this for some time, and I think you're smiling bigger than I've ever seen you smile, I think. Vice Chair Trieger.
Thank you. It's truly a team effort.
Echo the chair's comment and move approval of Order 23-04-11-06 in the matter of approving the tentative agreement between Lane County and Administrative Professionals Association of Lane County, Inc.
Second.
Moved by Vice Chair Trieger and seconded by Commissioner Buck. Discussion to the motion. I'm seeing no discussion to the motion either. So all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That happened pretty quickly considering how long it took to get here. So well done.
Thank you.
And while we clear the room, go back to our regular agenda. Mr. Mokrais, you had completed your announcements. We've completed our executive session. Is there any other business for the Board of County Commissioners this morning?
I don't know if you wanted to move item 12A. That's the only other item.
Vice Chair Trieger, I'll call on you to see if there's any motion you have at this point in time.
I am happy to do that. Do we want to introduce it as an item, or would you like to make it?
That's a,
do
we can have free motions, but probably a good idea to go ahead and at least give a telegraph
Do I?
as to what it is that we're doing. So we're moving ahead basically to the first part of item 12A, which is discussion and possible action in the matter of opioid settlement and associated attorney fees. And to get today, we have Ms. Pettigrew with us. If you would step forward, Ms. Pettigrew. And, Vice Chair Trieger, with your consent, I'll ask Ms. Pettigrew, do you have anything you'd like to state on this item?
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. You have before you a question of Lane County's participation and potential release of claims with respect to 5 entities and alleged wrongdoing with respect to the distribution and sale of opioids and its impact on Lane County. In executive session, we did discuss this question, and I'm here before the board to offer the opportunity to either enter into that participation forum on behalf of Lane County or not.
Thank you, Ms. Pettigrew, and I see no actual agenda item on this. So with that explanation, I'll call on you, Vice Trieger.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to propose a motion, and then perhaps if there are other questions, we can do them as discussion of the motion, and if not, take the action. I'd like to move to approve the release and participation forms for the Teva, Allergen, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart settlements negotiations and delegate authority to the county administrator to execute these forms on behalf of Lane County.
I'll second.
That's moved by Vice Chair Trieger and seconded by Commissioner Buck. I'll open the floor for discussion to the motion. Ms. Pettigrew, anything you'd like to add before I call for the vote?
No, thank you, Chair.
This is not really perfunctory, but it's kind of a perfunctory step along the way in the opioid settlement. This is our next step, moving you closer to the what is ultimately the settlement and distribution. So.
Thank you, Chair. That is correct. This may or may not be ultimately approved, but this indicates Lane County's willingness to enter into this settlement and gives indication of the degree of participation from the various entities that have brought suit.
Can you read the list of names of people who've been Very good.
How much time do we have, Chair?
With no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. And with that, Ms. Mokrais, I believe this morning's business is concluded, unless you have anything else you wish to bring forward.
No, thank you, Chair.
Then until we reconvene at 1:30 p.m. today, we are in recess.